The power of decision is my own. The power of decision is your own. Welcome back, fam. Today we are going to be studying lesson 152 of A Course in Miracles. Now let's go ahead and get this straight right off the bat. Me and you are choosing at every single moment in time. This is not new to us. This is something we've been discussing for the past few weeks now. Me and you right now are choosing every single thing we are doing. We are choosing to be in the situation we're in. We are choosing to be here in each other's presence right now. We could easily go separate ways right now. We are choosing to see things the way that we see them. We are choosing to stay in uncomfortable positions. We are choosing to be happy. We are choosing to be upset. Whatever it is that we are experiencing, it is our choice. Now, that may be a little harsh for some individuals, especially to the individual who is identifying with the ego, because nobody who is living less than what they wants to hear that they decided that. Not only that they don't want to hear that, but they cannot even conceive how they have done such a thing. It is their fault. I'm living this way because they did this, because I didn't go to this school, or I didn't get this training, or I wasn't educated on this, or I didn't grow up with money. Whatever it is that the situation may entail, the individual who is identified with the ego is believing that it is not their fault. Now, the individual who is living a glorious life is accepting that statement, and not only accepting it, but most of the time an individual who is living a glorious life and living what they deserve and know that they desire, they have to be doing something, whether they're aware of what they're doing or not. They are choosing that they want to feel good. Whether they are aware of their decision-making process, the individual who is living a fantastic life and the individual who is not at peace and they are unhappy with where they're at, both individuals in both cases, those individuals are choosing. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive into this lesson, and it's going to begin to deepen this understanding that we have already built on for the past few weeks, and then we will have a more in-depth understanding of why the power of decision is our own. But to make things very easily from here, remember, there's only two things that we can be deciding from at every given moment in time, which means our decisions are very limited, and that is easy because there's not a lot of options, which means it's easy. Do I want to choose one or the other? Do I want to choose love, or do I want to choose fear? Do I want to choose a thought system that is real, or a thought system that is made up and an illusion? Do I want to choose to be happy and at peace, or do I want to choose to be right and defend myself? There's a lot of different ways we could say this, like we've said many times before, but we have to understand that at the core of every decision we make right now, in every moment, we are either choosing to go that way or that way. We are either choosing to side with the ego or side with the Holy Spirit, if you will, God, who you really are, source, capital S, self, that the Course likes to use. So our decisions are limited. We only have two options at every given moment in time, and to know what you are choosing right now in this moment, just take a look at the way you feel. Am I at peace? I must be choosing and following the teacher of peace. Am I experiencing any form of upset? I must be following the guide for upset. Now, this is going to be a powerful lesson, so buckle up. We are on lesson 152, so go ahead and pull up to the lesson. If you don't got the book yet, the PDF is in the description. Let's go ahead and begin. Lesson 152. The power of decision is my own. No one can suffer loss unless it be his own decision. No one suffers pain except his choice elects this state for him. No one can grieve, nor fear, nor think him sick unless these are the outcomes that he wants. And no one dies without his own consent. Nothing occurs but represents your wish, and nothing is omitted that you choose. Here is your world, complete in all details. Here is its whole reality for you, and it is only here salvation is. Now, this is a very powerful paragraph to begin the lesson. One thing that I am going to touch on before we continue to the next paragraph is it states right here. Let's see, where is it? No one can grieve, nor fear, nor think him sick unless these are the outcomes that he wants. Now, of course, somebody who is experiencing something less than what they desire is not going to agree with the fact that I want this. You're telling me that I want to live this terrible experience that I'm living right now? You're telling me that I want that? No, I don't want that. And of course, they're saying that they don't want that, but on a level deep down beneath their awareness, and we're using this individual as an example, but me and you could be that individual from time to time as well. We are basically saying we don't want what we're experiencing right now, but on the level deep down beneath our awareness, well identified with that self that we made apart from our source, the ego that we like to use. Whenever we're identifying with the ego wants separation because it perpetuates its existence. The ego wants to see the guilt out there in another individual because it makes it feel better about itself because it thinks that it is not enough. So in order to make it feel like it is enough, it has to see the not enoughness out there so that way it can put itself on a pedestal. Now, that's what's happening beneath our level of awareness. Whether we want to believe this or not, we can accept it or deny it, but this is what's happening, and it's important for me and you to be aware whenever we are in that state of mind so that way we can choose otherwise. Because if we're not aware of our decision-making process, then we are going to continue to make the same decisions that got us in the situation that we do not want to be in. Now, that could be said in an even better way. It's not that there's anything wrong with the situation that we are experiencing. It's about how we are perceiving the situation. Now remember, nothing in this world means anything. Lesson 1, nothing I see means anything. It is all dust. It is all nothingness. It is all temporary, and what is temporary never existed to begin with because God only creates eternally. So although the idea that this symbol of a highlighter is conveying, although the idea of the highlighter is eternal, the actual symbol itself is nothing. It is dust. And that goes with every physical thing that you see, that you can hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. It is all just a symbol in this world of illusion. It is temporary, therefore it is not real. Don't be attached to what is not really there. Wake up, in other words, and understand that whenever we know that we have given everything that we see all the meaning that it has for us, it will allow us to step back and remove our meaning from everything and see everything for what it really is. So going back to what we were discussing just now, whenever you see a situation and you are saying, I don't want this, it's a bad situation, it's dust. There is no space or time. It is all a belief in our mind. And again, that may seem too far-fetched depending on where you are in relation to this information, but just know that we're going to get to this realization and remembrance together. But space and time are not really here. They are figments of your imagination. And knowing that allows you to still be aware that you're in the illusion, but you're not attached to nothing. It gives you a sense of peace and freedom and joy, and you can experience the things of this illusion with greatness and experience and love and joy, and it's outrageous, and there's no words that can convey that experience. But just be aware that that is what's going on here. Now, how can something that is dust and not really there be bad? It's not. Everything that we see is neutral. Remember that. Everything we see is neutral. This highlighter is neutral. This book is neutral. This bracelet is neutral. These glasses, this body, this device that you're viewing this from is neutral. The situation of getting a flat tire is neutral. The situation of not having enough money is neutral. It is all just neutral. There is no inherent good or bad in it. It is just simply neutral. It is meaningless, if you will. If that's too strong of a word, use neutral. But just understand that our thoughts, however, are not neutral, meaning my thought about the highlighter is not neutral. I am either thinking along with love and viewing this highlighter and seeing that the highlighter in this illusion is representing an eternal idea, or I can view this highlighter with the ego and see it with a negative sign, so to speak. So that's how we're viewing everything. We can't see nothing as neutral because our attention is either flowing with one direction or the other. We cannot not choose. We are always choosing at every given moment in time. Now, it's important for us to choose the route that really exists, because we're going to finally get somewhere when we choose that route. If we continue to choose the route of the illusion and the ego, we're going to see everything in this world based on our own perception, which is very limited and very minuscule compared to what's really going on, the broader perspective. And we are going to decide to choose to see what we want to see, meaning I want to see that person as guilty because that makes me feel better. I want to live something less than what I know I deserve because I don't believe that I can live what I deserve. So if I blame it on someone else, it gives me the reason to justify that I'm not doing it. It's someone else's fault. Therefore, it takes off all the responsibility on my end. Those are some of the ways that this belief plays out in our mind, and we're unaware that it's doing that. And me and you are here today to remember this and undo that, because we don't want that. It is our will to decide with God, with who we really are, with all that is, with source energy, and to feel peace. That is our will. Now, we can accept that or deny that, but that is our will. Now, most individuals, and this could be me and you from time to time, don't get it twisted, most individuals, we blame outside conditions and people and nothingness for why we are experiencing our internal state. We say, well, that person got me mad. I am mad because that person got me mad. I am lacking this resource that I want because of this situation. And we've talked about this many times, but the only problem with that is now you're powerless, because you could choose to deny what the Course states right here when it says no one can suffer loss unless it be his own decision. If you want to go against that and say, you know what, I counteract that statement. I believe that I can suffer loss and it not be my decision. It could be a will thrust upon me. Somebody else did this, which is why I'm lacking this. Now, that is just not so. You have given that situation all the meaning that it has for you unknowingly, and continuing to do that is going to keep you stuck in hell, if you will. It's going to keep you stuck in the world of illusion, and you are going to be not fulfilled in life, which goes against your will. You are going to be stuck, and nobody wants to be stuck. It is not your will. You could justify why you would, for whatever insane reason, you're happy with where you're at, although you're not. But it's important for us to remember that me and you are literally love and light and created in the image of pure positive source energy. And whenever we are experiencing anything less than that, we have done something wrong with this powerful tool of ours. Even wrong is too strong of a word. We have done something that we have chose something that we would not have chosen if we were in our right mind. So at all moments in time, pay attention to your emotional guidance system. Whenever you feel at your best, you are in alignment with the larger part of you, which is who you really are. And whenever you are not at peace and not at your best, then you have deviated to whatever degree from your source, which is why you're not allowing that fullness to flow through you. But you have done it and you can change it. What happens with individuals, including ourselves from time to time, is if we say that we are feeling this way or experiencing this thing because of that outside condition, then we give all of the meaning to that outside condition and we give it all the power. Now, again, we cannot really do that, but although we can't really do that, the belief that we can give something outside of us all the power is just as powerful as actually giving our power away, because now you believe that I'm powerless. Now this thing has to change in order for my life to change. This person has to act differently in order for me to be happy. And now you're screwed. Me and you are screwed when we are in that mindset, because we are trapped, we are stuck, and we are not going nowhere. It's only whenever we snap out of it and choose otherwise. Me and you can choose at every given moment in time by saying something as simple as, I am choosing to see this differently. I am choosing to see the situation involving blank differently. I am choosing to see the situation involving my finances differently, and then take full responsibility, not in the sense of blaming yourself and woe is me, like, oh yeah, it's my fault, everything's my fault, I'm here because of me. That is not what we are saying here. We are saying that we got ourselves in this position, and me and you are the ones who are going to get us out of this position if it is our will to do so. And it is our will to do so. And anytime we think otherwise, we're not really thinking at all. We are simply hallucinating with the ego, who wants to stay in separation and see guilt and worry and doubt outside of itself, because it justifies its own idea of separation, which does not really exist. Me and you are not these bodies. Me and you are spirit. Spirit is undivided and whole, and there is no place where you end and I begin, meaning it is all omnipresent. It is all one. It is all happening right now in this moment. So let's go ahead and continue, but I hope that this gives a very solid foundation for us moving forward to really understand what's going on here. And hopefully this will allow us to choose deliberately, because most of us are not choosing deliberately. We have made a decision a long time ago in the past when we were younger, and we continuously made that decision. It became a program, and now we're still choosing the same things over and over and over again, and wondering why nothing's changing. And nothing can change in our life if we don't change nothing in our life. It's very common sense whenever you're in your right mind. Of course, I have to change something in order for something to change, but common sense isn't very common no more. So people believe that something's just going to happen without them having to do anything, and only an individual who has given all their power away can believe that thought. Let's continue. You may believe that this position is extreme and too inclusive to be true. Yet, can truth have exceptions? If you have the gift of everything, can loss be real? Can pain be part of peace, or grief of joy? Can fear and sickness enter a mind where love and perfect holiness abide? Truth must be all-inclusive, if it be the truth at all. Accept no opposites and no exceptions, for to do so is to contradict the truth entirely. Salvation is the recognition that the truth is true, and nothing else is true. This you have heard before, but may not yet accept both parts of it. Without the first, the second has no meaning. One more time. Salvation is the recognition that the truth is true, and nothing else is true. Without the first, the second has no meaning. That's a very powerful bar right there. I'm not going to go in depth in that, but it's something to ponder. But without the second, is the first no longer true? Truth cannot have an opposite. Truth is all-encompassing, and what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This cannot be too often said and thought about, for if what is not true is true as well as what is true, then part of truth is false, and truth has lost its meaning. Nothing but the truth is true, and what is false is false. Now, we're going to go ahead and use an analogy here. Now, there's individuals out there who believe, and there's nothing wrong with their beliefs, but they're just not seeing the fullness of what's really going on here. There's individuals out there who believe that God is their father, their creator, but he is judgmental. So they believe that they are being judged by their source, by something that is love. Now, if that were true, then this entire universe would fall, because if love had a tiny little percentage of judgment in it, then that would cancel out the entirety of that, because there cannot be no false in truth. Um, at this moment in time, I lack the words to express what the course is trying to say, so I'm going to try to stick with what it's saying right now and not put too much of my own 2 cents in. But just understand that truth is true, and there can be no falsity in truth, or else it would not be what it is, which is true. Truth is who you are. You are love, you are light, you are perfection, holiness, eternal, you are omnipresent, you are all that is, you are just beyond what words can convey. And truth cannot be threatened. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. One more time. Nothing real can be threatened, which is me and you. We're real. We cannot be threatened. Truth is real. Truth cannot be threatened. And nothing unreal exists, meaning our illusions of fear, those do not exist. They are simply a belief in our mind. And whenever we understand that statement, then herein lies the peace of God. Because you understand, whenever you are in your right mind, and you understand when you are wandering off again, going nowhere. And it's important to pay attention to that, because you will catch on to it much quicker next time, the next time, the next time, and soon you're going to get to the point of mastery where you never drift, because you're so conscious to a level that you can't even conceive right now, that when you get to that point, it will require no effort. Just like how most of us drift from time to time on autopilot, because we've practiced that so much, we're drifters. Now, as we practice these lessons and go on throughout these lessons and train our minds, and we get more familiar with this terminology and the ideas and the concepts that are conveying what is really going on here, and we practice this, not only read this together, although that is very powerful, because there's a lot of energetic things going on beneath the surface that we may not be aware of right now, that are impressing our minds with something that cannot be counteracted. However, it is going to require me and you to build the habit of practicing these lessons and using them on a daily basis, and saying stuff along the lines of, you know what, that doesn't mean anything. I've given that all the meaning it has for me. I am willing to see the situation involving blank differently. I am not a body. I am free. Things along these lines are all the tools that me and you have in our mental arsenal, and we are adding more to our weaponry. And whenever we do fall asleep, we use these tools and implement them and practice these and employ these techniques, so that way whenever we get to the point of mastery, it will no longer be necessary, because we know, with the capital K, we know who we are. And because we know that, then we will not follow a teacher and a guide who knows nothing, which is the ego. The Holy Spirit knows all. You know all. Who you really are knows all. Source knows all. But the ego knows nothing, because it has emerged from nothing. It has no solid foundation for its existence. So whenever you know that you are in your right state of mind, stay here and do it for a long enough period of time in this world, building a habit to where you get to the point of mastery, where no longer you have to practice. And whenever you are identifying with the ego, and those are your only two options, by the way, so there's no confusion here, you are either being who you really are or who you think you are. Very big difference. Who you are is what Source created, what God created, and this is eternal and changeless and unalterable. And although you can wander off in your mind and be who you think you are, which is a body, which is not enough, or which is better than, all these duality, better than, less than, up, down, left, right, hot, cold, all of this stuff over here, whenever you think that you are this individual and this being, then you are going to believe in separation, and separation is going to entail a sense of fear. And that is what me and you are here to undo, is the false thought system that the entire world is dominated by. But let's go ahead and continue for now, and then we'll come back to this discussion. This is the simplest of distinctions, yet the most obscure, but not because it is a difficult distinction to perceive. It is concealed behind a vast array of choices that do not appear to be entirely your own. And thus, the truth appears to have some aspects that Billy consistency, I don't believe I'm pronouncing that word right, but consistency, but do not seem to be but contradictions introduced by you. As God created you, you must remain unchangeable, with transitory states by definition false. And that includes all shifts in feeling, alterations in conditions of the body and the mind, in all awareness and in all response. This is the all-inclusiveness which sets the truth apart from falsehood, all the false kept separate from the truth as what it is. It is not strange that you believe to think you made the world you see is arrogance. One more time. Is it not strange that you believe to think you made the world you see is arrogance? God made it not. Me and you made this world and the way we perceive it. We made this. We've discussed this at length in a previous lesson. We are going to do so as we continue, but just know that this world is of our making, because remember, God only creates like himself, eternal and infinite. Now, everything that we see in this world, if you could hear it, see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, it is not eternal, because it is just dust at the end of the day. It is at the effect of time. As time goes by in this world, these things will begin to degrade and return to the nothingness from which they emerged. They do not mean anything. Me and you made this world, and me and you did so we made this environment to justify that we are separate from our source. Again, we're not going to go into that discussion here, but it will come up at some point in time as we go on with these lessons. But just long story short, me and you are love and light. A little part of us wandered off, and we made this self-image that took on a mind of its own, which we call the ego. And the ego is literally fear, because it is fearful of what its father would do to it, what its source would think if it found out that it separated itself from its source, which it cannot really do. Me and you cannot really separate ourselves from a source, but we can believe we can. And in order to kind of mitigate some of that pain that we believe that we are going to get if somebody finds out that we ran away from home, so to speak, if we ran away from heaven, so to speak, if someone found out, it would be very painful. So in order to mitigate some of that pain, we projected a world where it looks like the pain is outside of us and the guilt is outside of us, so that way we don't have a sense of guilt. We feel guiltless, and we are in this position because of something else, when really this environment was here to perpetuate your belief of separation, and you can throw this world away as quickly as you made it. It is all an illusion, I promise you that. Now, I do want to say one more thing. Whenever we use these words illusion and not real, of course me and you are in these bodies right now. Just remember that we are not these bodies, but we are here in the world of illusion that we made for ourselves, and we are going to be here for a good little minute. Now, it's important to understand that this is capital IS, this is what is going on here. However, you can enjoy it. So don't beat up on yourself if you're not an enlightened master. Whenever you do fall asleep and get triggered, experience that like you were on the top of a roller coaster and you fell down and your hands are up and you're screaming and you're scared and fearful, and you'll say it'll be over soon, and then it slows down and you're like, wow, that was a fun ride. Experience this world as if you were watching a movie. Why do you go watch scary movies? Why do you go watch sad movies? Why do you go watch those type of movies? People literally pay money to go experience fear. It's because it's entertaining and it's fun and it gives you a thrill. And the only way to know who you are is to first know who you are not. Now, because me and you have been who we are not our entire lives, identifying with this false image, that is what gives us the basis to remember who we really are. That is what we came for that experience, to experience all aspects of ourselves. I wanted to experience the aspect of myself called highlighter. I wanted to experience the aspect of myself called you. I wanted to experience the aspect of myself called money and this experience and this relationship. It is all happening to produce joy and expansion of all that is. So do not take it that seriously. Understand that me and you are here on the leading edge of thought, and whenever we experience something that is less than what we desire and less than what we prefer, that new desire that we have just gave birth to has just been sent out like a rocket of desire, if you will, which is what Abraham Hicks likes to, the terminology, Abraham Hicks terminology. Me and you experience contrast. From there, we know what we don't want. Therefore, we know more clearly what we do want. And that just caused an expansion of all that is. If me and you were not here and we were not choosing and deciding and coming to new conclusions and preferences, then there would be no expansion of all that is. So me and you are very essential to the expansion of all that is. So have fun with this. Don't take it too seriously. Don't feel like the goal is to be in love all the time. The goal is to detach from this body and kind of be the watcher and the player at the same time, but know that you are doing so and know that there is really nothing that serious that could be going on here. There is nothing that you could do in this world that will ever change the fact that you are love and light. There is nothing that you could do that could ever change what God created. So whenever you feel guilty for anything that you think you have done wrong in this world, understand that it is just that. In this world, you are an actor in this play of consciousness, if you will, and you are here to experience that fear and that pain and that love and joy and unhappiness and all of it, so that way you can feel all of the different aspects of that which you are. It's very fun whenever you understand that there is nothing serious going on here, but in order to get to that point, we have to first understand what really is, which is love. That is all that is. And whenever we know that we can never deviate from our source in reality, then that gives us the space to go out there and have fun and experience it all, knowing that it's just an illusion and it's not really happening in truth. So although something bad may occur, we are kind of watching it like from source's perspective, from God's perspective, which you can do. You can step back and watch it from God's perspective and say, this is so cool, this is fun, this is an experience that to the sleeping mind looks like bad and adversity and contrast, but to source energy, which is who I am, the I am presence, which is who I am, I can look at this and I can enjoy it because I understand that it is all not real. It is all love at the end of the day. That is all that is. It's like watching a movie. Now, this is a beautiful state of mind to get to. I hope you're here with me right now. But for now, let's go ahead and continue. God made this world not. Of this you can be sure. What can he know of the ephemeral, the sinful and the guilty, the afraid, the suffering and lonely, and the mind that lives within a body that must die? You but accuse him of insanity to think he made a world where such things seem to have reality. And that's what people believe. They believe that God made this world, and it states right here, you but accuse God of insanity to think he made a world where such things seem to have reality. No, me and you, who are extensions of God, if you will, me and you are extensions of source energy, have made this environment because me and you have the power to create. And that is important to know because me and you are not at the effect of our creation. Whenever we understand how the creation works and we are the one who caused it to be, then we can alter it in any way that we please, meaning we can alter space, we can alter time, we can have whatever it is that we desire to experience while we're in this illusion come to pass, because that is just who we are. And when we know that, we can play around with this and become masters of the universe, which is what me and you are in the process of becoming already. And there is no point in time where you will ever become. You are always becoming, because there is no end to the greatness to which you can achieve. There is no goalpost. There is no ending. There is no, okay, I'm going to send to the master. I made it. I am here. It is, you are here, and there is going to be evolution and evolution and evolution and continue to evolve. That's all a master is somebody who continuously keeps up with that evolution. And that is what me and you must be aware of at all points in time by the way we feel. Do I feel good? Okay, that must mean that I am keeping up with who I really am. Now, do I feel bad? Okay, that must mean that I am throwing something on my trail causing resistance that is blocking me from experiencing the fullness of who I really am. And therefore, in that moment of any form of fear, I can't create. I can't create as powerfully as I would if I had no blockages. For example, if I have a hose, right, and the hose is flowing purely, I can spray the hose and it's going to go wherever I direct the attention to. However, if some point back there the hose got twisted up and turned, it's only going to be a tiny little stream dripping down from the end of the hose. And I'm going to say, what's going on? Why am I not creating? Why is my life force not flowing out as much as it could be? And it's because there's a blockage in the hose. And that does not mean that life force is not flowing your way, or there is an opposite will that is evil, the devil, all kinds of insane thoughts that people like to think of. That there is none of that. There is allowing all that is and resisting all that is. There is no evil. There is no source of fear. Fear is simply the absence of all that is, but there is no source of what you call fear. It is only love. It is only spraying the hose at full speed, and then if it gets turned up back there, then you are calling that dripped faucet fear and not enough and lack, but you and me are the only ones at every moment in time who are causing that resistance. And if we were to go over there and just simply unturn that little tangle that the hose encountered for whatever reason, then and only then can we flow all our energy as we intended. But we are the only ones who add resistance on our trail. Nothing and no one else has the power to do that unless we give it that power. He is not mad, yet only madness makes a world like this. To think that God made chaos contradicts his will, invented opposites to truth, and suffers death to triumph over life. All this is arrogance. Now, that is arrogance to believe that God made chaos, because it is simply saying that what's happening here is me and you having this discussion right now. People could call me and you arrogant because we believe that we hold all the power of the world, which we do, and that seems like, whoa, you don't have that power. Nobody has that type of power, and we all do, and we could accept that, which is what me and you are doing here, or we could deny it, like that individual over there who is judging me and you for being arrogant, for believing that we have all this power. And what's going on there is they are actually arrogant because they are believing that they are something different than what God created, which is an individual, and not even an individual because there's no separation, but a being which is just like himself, who has all of the abilities that he has, that God has, that source has. Me and you have that power. Me and you are in possession of that. We are extensions of that. There is no way that we cannot have that. and express that. We are expressing that all the time. The individual, however, over there who believes that me and you are arrogant for believing this thought is, again, also an extension of that power, and they have as much of it at their fingertips as me and you do. However, their hose is tangled up because of all of those thoughts of separation, that they can't flow their energy like me and you, and that is why they believe that this is the way things are. You don't have that power because I don't have that power, which means that nobody can have that power. Again, they're not saying these words, but it's something that's going on deep within their mind because they believe that they are the body, and simply that is not so. Just go ahead and disregard individuals like that, because if you allow them to get to you, they will stump your growth and you will become indulged with that doubt thought process, and that is the last thing that we need. And whenever we anchor in the state of mind, then we will see that individual as they really are, which is love and light, who has the same abilities as me and you. However, they have added some resistance on their trail and they are not willing to see things differently. Therefore, in that moment, they cannot be helped, because although God and the Holy Spirit and all that is would like for them to see the truth, and they themselves, who they really are, would like to see the truth of what is really going on here, which is the love and light that they are, there is nothing that could penetrate the walls built up towards blocking love, because they have free will at the end of the day, like we all do. And in order for them to receive a miracle, and in order for them to receive that awareness of what me and you are here discussing right now, they are going to have to put down their barriers and allow truth to flow in. And me and you cannot do anything about that. That is that individual's journey over there. That is their path. Do not believe that there is nothing wrong, right or wrong with that. That is just where they are, and God's will is already done, meaning they are going to at some point have to get to the understanding that me and you are at today, regardless of how many years it takes. It may take thousands of years. It may take many different bodies, if you will, reincarnations, if you will. It may take many different cycles for this individual to finally understand what me and you are here discussing, but they must, in the end, come to this realization, because it is everyone's will, and our will is God's will, although we may not be aware of that from time to time, and God's will cannot fail. It is actually already done, meaning the belief that they are separate is simply just a belief, but they are actually really whole. They just have to come to that remembrance. Now, me and you, quick little side note, who knows how long me and you have been doing this until we finally got to the point that we are right now. So never judge nobody's journey, because everyone's exactly where they need to be in life. Me and you are exactly where we need to be in life when it comes to financial, relationships, our experiences in life, the everything. We are exactly where we need to be. That is not a statement of Pollyanna. That is what is really going on here. We are exactly where we need to be. There is never a time when you are not where you're exactly supposed to be. Everything's happening so orchestrated and so to the T, so perfected that we can't even comprehend how much is going on behind the scenes to make all of this possible. And me and you are extensions of that power. And when we learn how to direct that power deliberately, we are going to be very careful with where we decide to direct our attention. Meaning, do I want to really think about the lack of what I want right now, or am I going to focus in the state of mind that it's already here, because it is already here, and this world is just there's a buffer of time in this world of illusion that we're living in, which is a good thing, because right now at this moment I don't know how to direct my thoughts deliberately. Meaning, if I think of, I don't want a car crash, boom, no buffer of time, you get what you ask for instantaneously. So be grateful for the buffer of time that me and you have here in this illusion, because it gives us time to mold the clay, so to speak, and really come to the conclusion of what we desire, and give it thought, and work the little kinks out and perfect it, and then experience that perfected state of mind. However, most individuals are doing the exact opposite. They're so focused on what they do not want, and they're contemplating that situation 24/7 in their head over and over again, that they get it and they wonder why they got it, and they believe that it is because something outside of themselves caused that to be. And if they were woke, they would understand that because of all that thinking they've been doing of that situation and emotional involvement with that thinking, they have manifested, if you will, an experience that they created, and they wanted that experience. Remember, we choose what we want. And again, people may think that that is, and it states right here at the beginning of the course, that may believe, we may believe that that position is extreme, but that is what's going on here. Me and you either want to be in love and light and at peace, and we are going to choose that, or an individual may want to believe in separation and guilt, and that is why, although they didn't say that they want this situation that appears bad, deep down they wanted it while identifying with the separated self, because it's justifying the shitty life that they are living, and it's giving them a reason to perpetuate that. Nobody knows they're doing this. Me and you have not known we have been doing this. Me and you are aware now, and we will remain in this awareness, because if not, then we are going to fall back asleep and drift, and there is no purpose for that. It is unnecessary and needless. To think that God made chaos, contradicts his will, invented opposites to truth, and suffers death to triumph over life. All this is arrogance. Humility would see at once these things are not of him, and can you see what God created not? To think you can is merely to believe you can perceive what God willed not to be. And what could be more arrogant than this? Let us today be truly humble and accept what we have made as what it is. The power of decision is our own. Decide but to accept your rightful place as a co-creator of the universe, and all you think you made will disappear. What rises to awareness then will be all that there ever was, eternally as it is now. And it will take the place of self-deceptions made but to usurp the altar to the Father and the Son. Today, we practice true humility, abandoning the false pretense by which the ego seeks to prove it arrogant. Only the ego can be arrogant, but truth is humble in acknowledging its mightiness, its changelessness, and its eternal wholeness, all-encompassing God's perfect gift to his beloved Son. We lay aside the arrogance which says that we are sinners, guilty and afraid, ashamed of what we are, and lift our hearts in the humility instead to him who has created us immaculate, like himself, in power and in love. Powerful, me and you are immaculate, created in power and in love, and to believe that we are anything less than that is arrogant, because you're saying that you are something other than what God created, meaning you're believing that you, who is literally a child of God, an extension of Source, wandered off, created your own image, and then believe that this image is who you are, and you're denying what really exists. That is arrogant. That is arrogant. What me and you are doing here, knowing who we are, is not arrogance. And anyone who believes so, you can definitely understand where they are mentally. And there's nothing wrong with that, with no judgment, but it just lets you know where that individual is at. And that's good to know whenever you're a teacher, because when you're a teacher, now if somebody is willing to change that, you know exactly where they are, and you know the next steps in their illusion in order to help guide them out of that hole and darkness that they've made, in order to snap them back into reality. That is how powerful we are. The power of decision is our own, and we accept of him that which we are, and humbly recognize the Son of God. To recognize God's Son implies as well that all self-concepts have been laid aside. all self-concepts have been laid aside, meaning you are either what God created or whatever you created over there, and what you created is subject to fear and imperfection and not enoughness and worry and doubt and judgment and guilt. You are subject to that whenever you believe in this self-concept that you made. But whenever you return to your natural state of mind, which is love and light and an extension of what you call God, then you know that there is nothing that can ever go wrong. And when you're in that state of mind, you are outrageously joyous, and there is no words again that can convey that state of mind, but it is our will to be there, and I'm sure that that is where we are right now. To recognize God's Son implies as well that all self-concepts have been laid aside and recognized as false. Their arrogance has been perceived, and in humility, the radiance of God's Son, His gentleness, His perfect sinlessness, His Father's love, His right to heaven, and release from hell are joyously accepted as our own. Now do we join in glad acknowledgement that lies are false, and only truth is true. We think of truth alone as we arise, and spend 5 minutes practicing its ways, encouraging our frightened minds with this. The power of decision is my own. This day I will accept myself as what my Father's will created me to be. Then will we wait in silence, giving up all self-deceptions, as we humbly ask our capital S self that He reveal Himself to us, and He who never left will come again to our awareness, grateful to restore His home to God, as it was meant to be. In patience, wait for Him throughout the day, and hourly invite Him with the words with which the day began, which is, the power of decision is my own. We are going to repeat that hourly and invite Him in. Humbly ask our capital S self that He reveal Himself to us. And He who never left will come again to our awareness, grateful to restore His home to God as it was meant to be. In patience, wait for Him throughout the day, and hourly invite Him with the words with which the day began, concluding it with this same invitation to your capital S self, which the invitation was, the power of decision is my own. This day I will accept myself as what my Father's will created me to be. God's voice will answer, for He speaks for you and for your Father. He will substitute the peace of God for all your frantic thoughts, the truth of God for self-deceptions, and God's Son for your illusions of yourself. Now, that was a very powerful lesson. This was a very powerful moment we have spent together. We are going to conclude right here, pause, so that way we can absorb all this information, and we will meet here again tomorrow for lesson 153 of A Course in Miracles. I will see you there.